Hi, I'm Jennifer Soames with Instride Bodywork, and I've taught you already in 2 different videos how to open up the front of your hip joints and stretch your hip flexors both from a kneeling and from a standing position. But today I want to take it more into a yoga context by teaching you a different variation of what is called half pigeon. So if you're a yogi, you might already know this posture, but again, we're going to take a different twist on it. And if you're new to yoga, then follow along and see how this works for you. So for this, I'm going to have you come onto all fours on your mat. Now I'm going to have you bring your right knee right behind your right wrist and start to walk your right foot over to just behind your left wrist. Allow your right knee to settle onto the mat, and as you settle your hips down onto the mat, allow this left leg to glide back and be straight. Now, a few things here. This isn't often usually accessible to people without collapsing over into the right side. So in order to keep the hips square, you need to keep the pelvis elevated. Now for that, I like to use a block, and you can use a different size block depending on how open or how not open your body is at this moment. For me, I like to use the 2-inch block, and I just place that right underneath my right gluteal area, my right sit bone, and this keeps my pelvis elevated and avoids collapse into this right side. So to keep your pelvis square, make sure that this left leg is rotated down so that the top of the thigh, the knee, and the top of the foot are all connected to your mat. Just make sure that your leg isn't rolled out as I'm showing here. So really roll it down, and to keep your pelvis in the same line as your leg, draw this left sit bone under, send it forward, scissor the inner thighs together, and send this right hip back a little bit. So if you were to put your hands right on your hip bones, notice if it's going straight forward or if you're rotating just a little bit. So if you're rotating, again, bring left one forward, right one back, and now you should be going in the right direction. Now traditionally in a half pigeon posture, the emphasis is on leaning forward and finding a nice stretch through the gluteals on the leg that you're leaning over. But in our case today, we want to find openness through the front of the left hip and into the lower part of the spine as well as the top of the leg. Now, a couple different things if you're starting to feel this into your right knee and it's a little uncomfortable. You can bring your right foot closer into your groin if you need a little bit more ease and less pressure on the knee. If you want a little bit more and you're a little bit more open through your hips themselves, then walk that foot up so that the lower part of the leg is parallel with the top of your mat. Now one thing to keep in mind here is that you want to flex the toes back towards your knee and make sure that the toes and the ankles stay that way versus pointing the toes down. Just helps activate the whole leg, keeps all of that engaged. And what I like to do is bring another block if you need it, or you can certainly just use balance. But I find that it's helpful to have a block right in front where I can just gently press my fingers into so that I find length and lift through the front of my body. Now it's not so much about creating a back bend, that's a whole nother story. But here we just want to find openness through the front of the body and that length and lift all the way through the front. So when you find the place that works best for you, settle in, take a few deep breaths, and allow yourself to start to open into this posture. So of course in your own practice, you're going to want to address both sides. Now keep in mind that this posture shouldn't be painful. If you find that it's intense, I'm totally okay with that. But if you find that it's hard to breathe into it, that you're gritting your teeth, clenching your jaw, or even holding your breath, then back off and reposition yourself so that it's tolerable. It may be uncomfortable, but as long as it's not painful, that's what's really important. And your breath is your most powerful tool, so really breathe into any places that feel uncomfortable or feel tense, and just see if you can settle into that a little bit. Now, if you're not sure if you're doing this correctly, or any of these videos that I've showed you of how to open up the front of the hips, if you're not sure if you're feeling what you're supposed to be feeling, then I invite you to come in and we can work one-on-one to make sure that you are doing things not only effectively but safely for you and your body. So that's my tip for today. Take this into your yoga practice, whether at home or at your studio, and stay tuned for more on my YouTube channel and on Facebook. Thanks so much. I'll see you back here.